Hi everyone, Monica here, and today I'm just going to show you all the parts of the violin. So, first of all, how many strings does a violin have? Well, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This one you may not be able to see my violin because it's kind of a bit old on mine and it's gone a bit black, but there is a string there, I can definitely tell you that. So we have 4 strings. And the names of the 4 strings are called G, D, A, and E. Now, if you have trouble remembering that, you can say g'day, or you can find like a fruit or a color or a person that you know that begins with each letter name. So for instance, you might call this the Gary string, you might call this one the dad string, you might call this the auntie string, you might call this the Eliza string, okay? So you can come up with different names or just simply remember g'day. Okay, so let's give you a tour of your violin. So let's start. So we have 4 strings and we're going to start from the top here. So this here is the scroll. It's beautifully carved, as you can see, and it's just really decorative. Okay, so over here, so that's the scroll. And over here at the front, this is what we call the peg box. And as you see, there are, guess what, 4 pegs that go into the peg box. So these black things on my violin, as you can see, they may be brown on yours, they can be different colors, but usually black, are our pegs. And we have 1 for each string. So whilst you're starting to learn the violin, you don't want to touch these pegs, okay? Best to leave it to your teacher or take it into the store if you do get really stuck. Okay, so we have our pegs. So underneath our strings, we have this black part here. Now this is called the fingerboard. This is where we're going to place our fingers down for when we want to play. And as you can see, the fingerboard goes all the way to here. Underneath the fingerboard is called the neck. Okay, so that's the neck of the violin, and that all sits on top of the body or the ribs of the violin. And we have the front part of the ribs and the back part of the ribs. And some violins will have 2 pieces of timber here, or some will have 1. And that's just more for sonic and also stylistic color things to make the violin more interesting. Okay, what else do we see? Well, we see these F holes here. Now these F holes, that's where the sound comes out of your violin. So when you pluck a string or bow a string, for instance, the sound travels through the string, goes to this thing here, which is called the bridge. And the bridge is connected inside to 2 important things. One of them is called like a bass pad, which is the thick timber that sits underneath the G string, the lower strings over there. And then inside, if I just hold my violin, there you go, you can just maybe see in there, if you look very closely, you'll see that there's like a little stick in there, and that's actually called the sound post, and that sits underneath the wood over here. Again, maybe you can see it. There you go. Sits under the wood there, and it basically rests against the back piece of the violin, and that's what produces the sound, which we then hear through the F holes. Okay, over here, so we follow the string. The strings go to the tail pieces. Now, on your violin, you'll probably have 4 of these screws. We call them fine tuners. They're great for tuning your violin if you do get a bit stuck and if you want mum and dad to help you out using a tuner like Clear Tune or Pano Tuner. You can use these fine tuners to do fine adjustments to your pitch to get it really in tune. Now the strings all reach out to this thing here called the tail piece. Over here is what we call the chin rest, or I prefer to call the jaw rest, and I'll show you why I call that in just a moment. Okay, so then we have the chin rest, and if we follow the violin all the way down, we have over here, which is called the end pin, And this basically just secures the tailpiece to the violin and helps tighten the strings so it makes it sound. So that's basically all the parts of the violin. So back to when I said the jaw rest, and I'll show you why. Alright, so here's my chin. Now, if I were to play my violin like this, it would be very, very hard to reach notes, especially later on as I become a really good violinist and I want to play pieces with lots of really high notes. I can't really reach up here. So when we hold our violin, it's important that our shoulders are straight, they're not up like this, they're not down, they're not leaning to one side and slouching, but it is very important that we stand up tall or sit tall. And what we want to do is we want to make sure we position our violin on our shoulder and just over the collarbone there. Okay, and as you can see, I will just gently rest my side of my chin or my jaw on the chin rest with my head facing forward. And voila, I can take my hands off. As long as my chin is down, I should be able to hold the violin. However, if you want to relax the chin, make sure you're holding your violin, otherwise it could fall and break, and we don't want that to happen. So there you have it. That was a quick tour of where everything is on your violin. Thanks for watching.